Welcome to Under Heaven, the podcast where we glorify God and celebrate the beautiful stories of women whose lives have been transformed by His goodness and grace. I'm your host, Trish, and each week we share real conversations about faith, hope, and purpose. This is a place for encouragement and truth, where every story matters and every listener is welcome. No matter where you are in your journey, let's grow together under heaven. Welcome to Under Heaven podcast. Today we believe that this is going to be an enlightening time. You see right there, we have Stephanie Lewis as our guest today. And Stephanie is a transformational educator, coach, and creator of NeuroDraw, which is a groundbreaking visual motor method designed to help neurodivergent thinkers, trauma survivors, and anyone navigating internal stuck patterns. So I am here today with Stephanie, and she's going to tell us what it's like to think differently and to feel deeply. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. What a beautiful introduction. That was very intuitive. Thank you. That's one of the best. I think that might be one of the best introductions I've ever had on a podcast. It just you have a lot of understanding, I think, and I think it's one of the things I like about you. What I've gotten to know of you and interacting. I'm happy, really happy to be here. Yeah.
I
Get to know you better, and you're hopefully give some good information to your viewers as well, your listeners.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think when we first spoke, I told you that I didn't even know about the word neurodivergent until last year. And so can you tell the listeners just a little bit about what it is and what it feels like to be neurodivergent?
Okay. So I am also a school psychologist too. I'm ABD on the doctorate. And I am a mom, as well as a wife. I don't know if my husband is on the spectrum or not. He thinks he is. I don't know. I do know our daughter is, and our daughter is the one who I was in the middle of the doctorate when she was born. So I had her diagnosed at 14 months. It was very obvious. So I can speak from the viewpoint of someone who was extremely late diagnosed, as well as someone who was a mother of a child who was neurodivergent as well. And
with your degrees.
Career.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention.
No, you're fine. You did, actually. You did.
Okay.
It's fine. And school psychologist, so I am a psychologist. I am a school psychologist, meaning I was a diagnostician. I did the evaluations. I would come up with plans for people. What exactly is neurodivergence? So neurodivergence is nothing more than some brain anatomical differences, as well as differences in the hormones and neurotransmitters that we make. And all of that affects brain chemistry, as well as how we interact with the world, whether it's something like this or you and I talking. It's very different. So as I was saying earlier, I am a very logical, very scientifically minded person. And so like when I say that, most people immediately assume that I don't believe in God or I don't have any religion. It's the exact opposite, because God is obvious that it is from a scientific viewpoint, as well as just a personal viewpoint, just looking at the world around me. There had to be a beginning point. There had to be. If there's a beginning point, then there is something that created that beginning point, and that's all pretty obvious. And since then, physics has actually found some of that stuff, and in fact, the Nobel Prize in physics, and you're going to love this, Nobel Prize in physics in 2025 in theoretical physics. That's exactly what they did. They found things like that. Now, did they call that God? No, they didn't. But that's literally what they were describing, that there was a beginning point. There's a beginning point. That point is a greater being who is the greatest, who created all of it. And I was like, yes, this is what I have been saying all my life. Yes, yes, because it's
Yes.
obvious. So in every way. So I wanted to start with that because I am a math, statistics, number person, and none of it is incongruent
There you
with
go.
any of
Thank
it.
you.
It's just as perfect. And I also want to say thank you for allowing me to say that to, as well. People usually aren't interested in that part, and it's huge. It's everything. So I just
Yes.
so yeah. So, but
Great.
how I came to that is very different from the way that someone with typical brain anatomy comes at it. So all my life, I'm a questioner, and while I never questioned God, I questioned how that belief comes. And because I can't take anything in face value, I questioned that part. And I questioned the way that the way that people communicated it. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Good. Yes. So that was, but the idea of that beginning point was always obvious to me. So, um,
Awesome.
yeah. So, that's basically what neurodivergence is. Neurodivergence. I say neurospicy or spicy thinkers. So, spicy thinkers.
I
So,
see. I
so
like that.
yeah, it's a lot happier. I'll tell you, and it's also true. You know, when something is spicy, it's the secret sauce. And if you think about it, all the billionaires in the world are neurodivergent. The richest, the titans of industry, every one of them are in one way or another. So, yeah, that's true. So, it's not a disability. Are people disabled? Yeah, but there are people who are disabled in the general population as well. So,
True.
yeah. And so the problem, and so this is also one of the big things to understand about us is when we're tested, say on an IQ test or any kind of an academic test, the way that it works is standardized tests have a variety of norm groups or groups that people are compared to when they take the test. In order to get an accurate result from that, there has to be a norm group there to compare someone to. There's no norm groups for us. There's nothing. So we don't ever, not only don't we ever get appropriately tested, we come out disabled. And it's because we're being compared to the wrong norm group. You know, you think about like Elon Musk, no matter what you think about the guy, he's the richest man in the world. You know, he's a multi billionaire, and he's not disabled. Obviously, how do you look at someone like that or Jeff Bezos? He's another one. I mean, Jeff Bezos is like autistic. You know, he used to seal squeal on national television in the 90s before his wife got him some assistance about how to communicate. Don't do that in front of people. So he did that. I mean, I remember watching him in the 90s on television, like, oh, that guy's got autism. Look at him. You know, and back then you weren't. So 20 years ago, the APA, the American Psychological Association, and this was the best thing that could have happened. They put things like this on a spectrum. And so that's why it appears that the number of the amount of people getting diagnosed with autism has increased the way that it has. Well, yeah, it has. It's because we are now included in that
Gotcha.
spectrum. So ASD or autistic spectrum disorder has not only autism, ADHD, It also has learning disabilities. It has high IQ. It has executive dysfunction, borderline personality disorder, bipolar. I think that's all of it. There's probably one or two more, but all of those things are ASD, because in all of those things we have there are anatomical differences as well as differences in peptides and hormones that cause that person to interact with the world in a different way that a neurotypical person interacts with the world. So that's the next piece. Now the third piece is it is very true, however, that there are more and more cases of things like ADHD. The reason for that is ADHD, out of all the things on on the spectrum, ASD and executive dysfunction can both be developed. ASD, excuse me, yeah, um, it can be developed. ADHD can be developed from trauma. Well, people are now traumatized all the time. All you have to do is go on social media. It's an immediate, yeah, it's the biggest reason to keep your children off of social media is that. Make them go back outside, get air, get exercise, do anything but scroll, because if they scroll, they're also going to then have issues with attention or executive dysfunction, as well as greatly increase. Now, I'm not talking here statistically. I don't know what the numbers are for this, I'll be honest. And I usually don't do this where I don't know those numbers, but it's enough that it's obvious that this is, well, it's not, I mean, there are statistically, yeah, ADHD can be developed. And so because people who have autism are 60% more likely to have both, those numbers are going to start increasing. And it's because of this constant, in my mind, it's because of this constant traumatization that's happening to our children. Whether it's these gun things, the horror. I mean, it was one thing to crouch
Yeah, it's
down in school when tornadoes came. It's another thing to worry about a mass murderer coming in to your school with a submachine gun. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. On
yes.
top of the bullying that happens and just the horror here and there and the different places that kids can get into. So truly, the best thing you can do is keep your children off of social media for as long as possible. Do what you have to
And now
do.
what do you do should you have a child and you realize they're learning differently, they're thinking differently? What are some of the things we can do for them to help?
Well, the best thing to do, I believe, is to if it appears that your child is on the spectrum, then you can get them tested. And school systems will test your child. If you can show that this is the evidence, most school systems do. They don't have a problem with it, especially now. When I was a kid, no, I was born in 1961. I mean, I read spontaneously at age 2. I was talking in sentences before I mean, nobody was going to look at me and say that. However, now, our daughter, however, I knew that it was obvious. And I wound up taking her when she was 7 to a psychiatrist, and she was officially diagnosed by the psychiatrist. I could not get the school to understand this. And it's for the same reason: very high IQ, early talker, early reader, early with numbers. Both of us knew our numbers before age 3, 1 to 10. Yeah. But remember, this is how our brain works as well. I am attracted to things like that. And so is she. And to a certain extent, so is my husband. But my husband is a far more fluid, verbal, happy go lucky person who is just easygoing and nice and accepts everyone. And that can be a real problem for us as well. And the reason is neuroanatomical. It has to do with us not having quite as developed of a prefrontal cortex. And these are all things that NeuroDraw can help with, by the way. Not quite as developed of a prefrontal cortex, as well as having, especially with ADHD. ADHD is like 30 to 50% more synaptic connections in the brain, which means there's always tons of information coming at us.
Yes.
Tons. And even just sitting in here, now I'm wearing earphones, but I can actually still hear the electricity. I have my heater on, so you think the heater would drown out nobody can hear electricity except for our daughter and me. It's like, it's so loud. How can you not hear it? So just think, I mean, this is all the stuff that comes out us all the time. And without having a quite as developed prefrontal cortex, this is where the logic is here. So we don't have that logic center. Does that make
Can you
sense?
get yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead.
yes. And can you give us, you had offered to show us
Yes.
an exercise that you can do with children to help them calm when they hear all those things and see everything.
I will, and I'm going to hook this up. If you just give me 1 minute, I have my sketchbook here, and a pen to use. I just need to put this on my arm here. So I'm going to switch off here for just a second to do that.
There's
What happened?
always hope. And as you're doing that, I'll just talk a little bit
Oh, yeah,
here.
yeah.
There's
What
always
happened?
hope.
Yeah.
God is a great healer, and God has given us wisdom, has given like Stephanie this way to help get through differences of thinking. And between God and these wonderful people who have studied and we have help. There's always help. So never give up hope because God is there and he will help you through life. Look at Stephanie with degrees and created this NeuroDraw. God has given her that ability. And I would like for her to share something at the end of our conversation as well of an experience she had a few years ago
Oh, the
with a
NDE?
supernatural. Mhm.
Oh,
Okay, Stephanie, we're ready.
okay, ready? Okay, so I can show this two ways. And one is just for a child, and then there's another, I can just show it fast for an adult. But so for a child, all they need is a piece of paper and a pen. And just think, what happened? What happened today? Oh, somebody pushed me. Oh, how do you feel about that? And just have them start scribbling and think about that bully, that and have them just scribble and scribble and scribble. And this literally externalizes the thought. And it
Yes.
usually doesn't take 2 minutes to get it all out. And then it's kind of out. Okay, so I'm going to pretend that I've done this until my hand stops moving. Okay,
Okay.
so now what you do now, go to the other side of the page and have them draw a circle, just freehanded circle anyway, and create a smiley face. As you see, I am not an artist and I don't need to be. So I don't know if you can, that's it. And that's it.
You can see
So
it well. Mhm.
yeah, so this side is all the thoughts that we don't want to have in. This is the anger, this is the frustration, this is feeling like a victim, which doesn't help anybody. And this side is getting your power back.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that would help a child to calm down, to express his
Yes.
feelings. Awesome. Awesome.
Yes. This to me is it's so easy because I mean you can carry, one of those little so the sooner you can get this at the time. So if your child comes home and, well, how was your day today at school? And they say it was okay. Well, then you automatically know what it is, and you don't even have to ask them anything and just say, do you need to draw this out? I say, when in doubt, draw it out. When in doubt, scribble it out. And then just give it to them. Give it to them and let them do it. Let them go to town and let them get all the out and then reclaim their power at the end and then move on. And they can do
Yes.
that. Yeah. You can do that just with having them draw lines across, calming lines. This also works really well for adults too.
I can
I
see
give
that.
this to adults all the time. If you have I have chronic pain. If you have chronic pain, doing this helps because you're getting it out.
Yes, expressing it. And that's something I've learned in life. Keeping things in never helps us at all.
No, it
And
doesn't.
expressing it either verbally or like you're doing there physically in a constructive way, that's wonderful. But Stephanie, you are a magnificent person who God has created with a purpose. And you had an experience, what year was it?
2018. 28. I
2018.
had an NDE. It's hard to
Yes.
believe that I was still considered physically disabled in 2022,
Oh,
but I was, yeah. So just briefly, I have Crohn's disease and I have very bad medication allergies and intolerances, and so I can't take I don't take medication for it. I've I'm missing quite a bit of my digestive system, and I have a condition called short gut as well. I have an ileostomy, so I poo in a bag. I don't have a colon, so it's the small intestine. And I'm missing, just like I said, just to start, I'm missing a foot of my small intestine and my colon, and then we go more. But that's not uncommon, unfortunately, with someone with Crohn's disease. So, what happened? I had a 6-hour virus, and I refused to go to the emergency room. And as time went on, I became very dehydrated, and I I found out why Jesus turned his face to God because dehydration will drive you crazy. And it didn't take long before I was not in my right mind. And if I had been, I think maybe it could have been different, but I might have gotten there sooner. But I wasn't supposed to get there soon. I was supposed to have the experience. Um, so finally, I mean, my whole body, I had Charlie horses all over. I had Charlie horses in my fingers, in my face. I mean, they were everywhere, and I was screaming. And my husband called an ambulance after probably 10 hours of this and said, "You're going to the emergency room." And I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." And he said, "Yes, you are. You're not competent." "Yes, you are." So they came in and they dragged me out. They put me on a stretcher, dragged me out, put me in the ambulance. And I asked them if I was dying in the ambulance, and we don't know. Okay. So I get to the emergency room and I get taken to one of those big all-purpose rooms when they have no idea what's going on. So I'm taken into one of those, and I looked at the ER doctor and I asked him if I was dying because I knew I was. And he looked at very seriously looked at me and he said, "I need your help." And I said, "I'm dying." And he didn't answer. And this is how out of it I was. I looked at my husband and I said, "I want you to let me go. I'm tired of being sick," because had been it was just one hospital stay after the other. At that time, I had a short gut diagnosis, which comes from having multiple GI surgeries, and how your intestines grow together. And so most of what I ate went through me. And at the time, I weighed 85 pounds. Oh, yeah. The photos of me in the CCU that morning after are just, it's unbelievable. I mean, there's nothing there of me. It's just bones. And so they said I was stabilized and my husband was exhausted. This is now going on probably midnight, I think. I don't know the times. And I told him to go home and get some rest. And so he went home and they forgot about me in the ER. No, yes. Now, I'm not going to say the hospital. At the time, I lived in Georgia, and that's why the hospital is very well known to anyone who lives in the Southeast. And so they forgot about me, and I knew they had. Several hours had gone past where I was just laying there with no help at all. Um, and at some point in there, I was someplace else. And how, since then, this has happened to me several times. Um, it was like reality did this. I mean, it shifted and blurred. I can't explain it any other way. And when it happens, I'm usually laying in bed when it happens, or I'm like half asleep, and all of a sudden there'll be a blur and something else happens, or there's something else there, and then it goes back. And it's very interesting. One time, this happened, and I've been looking for a ring, and the ring, I felt the tingling on my finger, and the ring was on my finger. I know. Ooh, wow. So, so that this is what happened. So reality did this. Okay, I'm going to say I did not see God. It was because it was not my time. That's why. It just was not my time. So I was standing in a pitch black tunnel, and there was a very loud whooshing sound, and I felt a strong magnetic pull to move. And I knew immediately what had happened. And I started to scream my head off and said, no, send me back. I'll start crying when I do this because I wanted to go back because of our daughter. She had she had grown up with a sick mother who had very bad medication issues that turned her into other people and other things. And it was not the childhood I would have wanted for her, certainly, nor the marriage I would have wanted up until then, for about 15 years before that. Um, and so that was why it had to do with her. And then it did this again. And I was just back. I wasn't floating above myself. I didn't see myself. I didn't float back in. It was literally just changing from one reality to another. And I was here and I was there. And so when I was back, there were these people around me, bringing me back. It never came up after that. My husband seemed to know about it, um, but we never talked about it. And I actually didn't talk about it until about almost a year ago. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to say about it. I gave up. I asked to die and I got my wish. I mean, what do you say?
Yes.
What do we say to that? So I never brought it up. And then almost a year ago, I started seeing the benefit of talking about it for myself. And so from that, I can say I created NeuroDraw for me. And it was because I was a very depressed child. And so at age 13, I started looking for ways to feel better because I didn't want to be suicide. Frankly, I don't want to be suicidal anymore. And that didn't go away until this,
That
really.
experience. Oh, until that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next day, well, it wasn't that, it was the same day. It took until 4 a.m. until I was brought up to the CCU. That's how long I'd been left by myself. Now, I don't know how long I was gone either, but they come pretty quickly, when those,
Yeah, when the
so,
bells start going off on the
right,
machines.
right.
Yeah.
And so I think that it probably wasn't that long, but I had been left there for a long time. And so there's a picture, there's a couple of photos of me that my husband took of me that I asked him to take. And it was because I was so angry and so fed up of, I mean, doctors had said, you need to try this medication or this is horrible things are going to happen to you. Well, guess what, people? I did what you said. I did. Well, guess what? It happened anyway. So
Yes.
I was so done at that point. I was like, I don't care what happens. I will never again have an issue, any issue like this where I have to go to the hospital the way I was, sometimes monthly, weekly visits to the emergency room. Um, unless it was because I myself had made a mistake. And I was in remission 6 months after that. I'm still in remission. That was just tested. Yeah, I was a normal weight within a year. Obviously, I'm a normal weight now. Um, I I had been a huge exerciser before that, and I was a bodybuilder before that. I am not that anymore, but I still love lifting weights. And I have to say, if you have ADHD, you need to lift weights. Lift weights, run and run. Yoga is not going to help you. You need to
Hmm.
do things that are active because our hormones are balanced in our muscles. And that's true for people with autism as well. Hormones are balanced in the muscles. Our muscles and our bones are part of the endocrine system. And so for anybody like us, exercising and building muscle and building endurance, or that's some of the biggest things that we can do to help manage this.
Well, that is a wonderful, wonderful uh, piece of advice, or that's wonderful to know because, and two, I think about the children today, how they do sit there and scroll or play on their tablets.
Yeah,
They're not outside running around and
no,
exercising and doing the things they need to
no, they're
do.
not.
So we need to encourage those children to get out there. Stephanie, it has been wonderful talking with you. I'd love to go on and on, but right now we have to close our program, and you're always welcome to come back and talk more and
Oh, I
show
hope
us more of your
so.
NeuroDraw.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's been
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been nice
I
getting
love,
to know you, Trish, outside of the group
yeah.
where we met.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that we have.
Yes. Oh, I am too. And it just always excites me to see a woman
Yes,
who is
women.
stepping out in her purpose, and God definitely has a purpose for you to help others.
Oh, so let me just say 1 second, and I agree. Um, NeuroDraw is what I used to manifest this.
Hmm. To
I'm
come.
my greatest manifestation. It's all through the Bible. God talks about it everywhere. It's just a natural part. Our brain literally is built to do this. It's the same circuit in the brain as a habit because it is a habit.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
Well,
okay.
thank
I just
you.
wanted to say
Thank
that
you.
that's
Oh,
where it came from.
okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I thank my family here, or my family. Well, you are my family.
Yeah.
All my
Oh,
viewers are my family. My guests are my family. And I thank you, Stephanie, for opening your heart, sharing your story, the experience that you had with the Lord and how He allowed you to come back. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you also have showed us that the way we think, our minds are not our enemy, that
no,
our minds are a magnificent structure, and there are ways to work with even ADHD. And I did mention before too, I have a nephew who was severely nonverbal, and now he goes to school, he talks, he writes, he does everything that you would expect a child to do. And
that's
all
wonderful.
things are possible.
All things are
So,
possible. Absolutely. Never say never. Never say no. If you can dream
amen.
it, you can
That's
do it.
amen. Well, I want to thank my listeners today for being here, and I'm sure you caught something fantastic from Stephanie. If you would like to continue more into this, if you have a child who perhaps has been diagnosed with one of these issues that she spoke about, contact Stephanie. I'll have her information. In fact, I'll have her give it to you as well. But I'll have your information in the details, and you may contact her for further help on that. Stephanie, please do give us your information where they could reach you for help.
Okay, well, for right now, then it would just be my email. To get more, it would be a lot more than what's here.
Yes.
Um, but that's Stephanie, Stephanie, at Success with TLB. The word success, the word with, and then the letters TLB.com.
Perfect. I will have that in the notes in the description for the people.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
I just bless your hands, bless your mind, and I bless you.
Thank
And
you. Thank you. I
I,
appreciate it.
you've been fantastic. I'm awesome to, I feel
Thank
so
you.
blessed to have met you
Oh my
and
goodness.
worked with
Thank
you. So
you,
thank you.
Trish. I do too, actually. Your energy is just beautiful and positive, and you just glow.
It's
Every time
God.
I see you, you are glowing. So
Oh, that is God. It's all God.
yeah.
So I'm going to speak to my viewers and say, remember to speak life, choose hope, and remember that you're always loved. Bye-bye, and thank you, Stephanie. Bye-bye.
Bye everybody. Bye.
Thank you for being with us today on Under Heaven. I trust this conversation encouraged your heart and reminded you of God's faithfulness. If today's episode blessed you, please click like, subscribe, and share the hope with others. Until next time, blessings.